Oh, yes, you know what that sound means. I'm in the paddock F1. Greeny and the cheese. Round 18 sees the F1 circus stop 85 miles north of the equator. Oh, man, it's hot, baby. That's right, we're back for the 15th time. It's the Singapore Grand Prix. The city-state of Singapore is a global financial center. I know you know that for sure, Michael.
Absolutely. My dad used to live there.
Well, there you go. Then you got a little inside information. And while you're there, you got to check out the Marina Bay. Yes, we're racing there. That's also where all the hot stuff is in Singapore to do and see. You also got to get there around 8 o'clock at night, and you get to see the light show, which is apparently spectacular. Or you want to stop by Sentosa, relax on the collection of beaches. You got shopping, dining. Get out them sticks and play a little golf while you're down there too, although it's hot, so make sure you bring your water. And of course, you got to check out Universal Studios Singapore, because why not while you're there? And of course, the street food. What you got on that, sir?
Oh, I got squadouche on the street food.
Oh, good for you. Good job. Good job, sir. Well, you know what? This ain't no travel show. This is an F1 show. And we're racing the Marina Bay Circuit. 3.06 miles, 19 corners. Count them, 4 DRS zones this year. So they added the new one in from turns 14 to 16. You give it the full beans for 52% of your lap. Oh, absolute domination by Lando Norris today, boys and girls. Had pole and then just ran away with the show. Like Max Verstappen style. As Lando takes the win. Max takes second, though, surprising the Red Bull performance in Singapore. And, of course, Oscar Piastri took third. We're caffeinated. We're medicated. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Yeah, I think it's like the last early race of the year. But I did not
come for us anyway.
For at least us here in the East Coast of the United States. West Coast, it's super early, man. So here we are.
I don't live there.
Irregardless, it's early, man. Anything before noon, sporting event, it's early. So anywhere in the world, and everyone experiences when you watch Formula One or any global sport, you're going to experience that. There's going to be some early days, some late days, some comfortable times in the middle. And away we go with the last 6 races of the season. We have a race on our hands. Lando Norris winning, as you mentioned. Max Verstappen coming in second, but that's still like the biggest point. It's massive as far as the points are concerned. It's still 7 points. So that one spot is a big spot, and here we go. Down the stretch they come. It looks like here McLaren is now almost 50 points exactly, 60 points clear.
I think it's
of Red Bull 516.
Isn't it like 52 points now? I think, or something like that. I saw something. I saw something today. It's like 52 points because that's the same differential that McLaren trailed Red Bull after the Miami Grand Prix or something like that.
Ooh, that's a spicy number.
So I think it was something around like 52 or something.
McLaren. I'm going to just read what I have on the freaking paper, if you let me, instead of you just thinking that you know what you're doing. I have McLaren at 516, Red Bull at 456, which is 60 points. And I have Ferrari at 441, which is plus 15. So it's close all around, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's the numbers unless you got another number that you can come up with here. I just took this right off the Formula One website right before we came on the air here. 516, 456, which is 60 points, and then Ferrari 441, 15. I don't know.
Could have been 52 then before the race today.
Could have been 52 before the race. Right. Yeah,
that sounds about
McLaren. Right. McLaren picked up 40 points today.
Mm-hmm.
Red Bull picked up 19, Ferrari picked up 16, so actually Red Bull picked up a couple points on Ferrari, and it's amazing that we get to actually go through these numbers each race now, and that they matter, and they matter more and more as we get to the end of the season here. So that's where we stand right now. Super exciting. Domination from Lando Norris. He didn't want to win, sir. He wanted to kick
to smash it.
Yeah, he wanted to smash it bad today.
Yeah.
And it's a tough weekend. It was hot. It was hot all weekend. And
it's always hot in Singapore.
Dude wanted it bad.
That's rough. That's rough in a Formula One car in a race in Singapore.
Yeah.
That's rough. That's what they do. That's what they do all the training. All year round. It's kind of for like this race, just to be able to last it. I mean, you heard Colapinto on the radio after the race on the in lap saying, I'm sorry, I just was just trying to get to the finish. Like I couldn't push at the end. I just had nothing left because he wasn't in that kind of training that the rest of the field is that usually does, because they know this race is coming up on the schedule. These guys go in, into the sauna and ride a stationary bike for like an hour.
In the sauna.
It's like in the sauna on a stationary bike, pumping that thing, not just running a little like light pace. No. They're pushing hard because you need that extra juice and stamina when you're at Singapore, because it's so damn draining. Because in the car itself, it's probably 130 degrees without being in Singapore.
No,
that's why these guys lose 3-4 pounds per race. And then you go to Singapore, they lose like 8 to 10 pounds because of all the sweat you just sweat your butt off. It's hot in a Formula One car.
Critical way. It's like if you know the turducken, where you take turkey and you take the duck and you take the chicken and you put the chicken in the duck and the chicken duck in the turkey and you put it in the oven. The drivers are the chickens, all right?
Yeah.
And that's what it's like in Singapore. It is tough. Clearly, Colapinto was completely just emotionally drained as well. You could hear it in his voice. But if you listened all weekend, you listened to any of his interviews, I actually listened to the entire post-qualifying interview with Colapinto, and man, he wants it bad. He wanted it so bad. He wanted 10th so bad today. And the emotions, I think, got the best of him. The heat got the best of him. And, I mean, he's a kid. He's a kid. He looks like a kid. He's a kid out there.
He's racing Formula 2. You're not prepared for this.
No.
You're not in the training. I mean, he had what? 3 weeks to when he was thrown in the seat at Monza to get prepared for Singapore? That's not happening. That's not enough time to put in the prep work for that. I mean, even George Russell, who's on the circuit, you could see him last few laps. His head was bobbing and weaving. He got out of the car. He almost passed out when he got out of the car.
Yeah.
This is a guy that's been on the circuit, so it doesn't matter who you are. It's rough. It's rough conditions for these guys for Singapore. It's rough. Everybody's drained. You're drained as heck afterwards. It's not even the physical demand, it's the mental demand of pushing it between the concrete barriers the entire race.
Very
going
tough.
like a bat at a heck. I mean, it's impressive. That's why these guys are athletes. And
that's why it's safety cars. That's why there's always a safety car, except for this year. First time ever. 14 seasons. I believe it's 24 safety cars over 14 races, and now none for 2024. So anyone who had that strategy, I'm going to ask you this, Cheese. How many teams came in with that safety car strategy, and which teams may or may not have backfired on that they didn't finish where they wanted to?
Most teams would go into the race having that plan. I mean, you could see it. Was it Leclerc pushed long? Who else pushed long? Hulkenberg pushed pretty late. Or somebody else I wanted. Sometimes I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but there was definitely a few guys that were, when it got to that point, some guys were hanging on just to. try and be the goal hanger and to try and get that safety car and get that advantage. Because it is a massive advantage in Singapore, too. It is massive because the regular, pit stop delta is around 28, 29 seconds. So you cut that in half with a safety car, that's humongous gains you can get. And that changes a lot of races in the past. With the safety car and the pit strategy changed at that point. So not having that, definitely every team goes into it planning that for sure. The big change though, with them changing the track a few years ago, taking out those 4 corners, those 4 corners were the main spot where the safety cars would come out for. So maybe in 5 years, once you get enough data, the almost 100% safety car might come down because that section of the track that they took out was where a lot of the safety cars were where the incidents did occur. So you might see left safety cars going on forward here at Singapore with that section of the track taken out. You got a little big grin on your face. You liked that information, didn't you?
Look at you. Jeez, with the man with the big brain. That's why I asked you these questions. I thought it was a good question too.
Well, it was a good question. But I mean, that's part of strategy. When you go to a place like this, when you go to like Monaco, Baku, definitely it's going to be in the strategy meeting before the race. That's definitely going to be in there for sure. For sure.
Look at the brains on cheese.
Well, you got to play a little bit of the F1 manager, son. You got to play a little bit of the F1 manager and sit in that hot seat and make those big calls. Do you want to go for the undercut? Do you want your guys to push a little longer and try and hang out maybe for that safety car or something to happen? Try and get those points when you're at the back of the grid. You got to play some. You got to throw some things out there. You got to throw some stuff on the wall. See what sticks sometimes. You got to gamble. Got to roll the dice.
Available for PS5. Yeah, no, great job. Seriously. And as always, it's just... this is how I saw it today. And this is how I've been seeing the last, month or so as far as Lando Norris is concerned. To me, it's like a boxing match. The whole season, if you put it as, one fighting match, whatever, UFC or boxing, and you're fighting someone that's the champ, right? You have to just wait for your opening. And take advantage. And that's what I saw from Lando Norris today. And like a boxer, like a fighter, has just finally found the spot where the hands are a little bit lower and the blocking's a little bit worse and weaker, and he's taking advantage and trying to pound him into the ground, and not just win, but pound him into the ground, because nobody knows if Red Bull's going to come back with the best car when we turn back around in 3 weeks and come back to the States here.
It's like a month, dude.
But Red Bull can come back, which we'll get to that later. Ridiculous. But Red Bull can definitely come back and come back with the best car on the grid. Who's saying they can't? McLaren didn't have the best car on the grid to start the season. Ferrari didn't have the best car on the track to start the season. And both of them are better than Red Bull now. So, or at least Ferrari and Red Bull are drawn very even, and McLaren's way better. So you don't know if McLaren can take a step back in this long break, and Red Bull can make some improvements and come back hard and be the best team down the stretch. Or, I don't know. We don't know. So Lando did the right thing today. McLaren did the right thing. Zach Brown made the right calls. We didn't mention his name. And Oscar Piastri, also podium. Hello. So what a great job. What a great job at McLaren as they continue to do. And that's about it for our top stories.
Well, the thing that's just super impressive with it is, a year and a half ago, McLaren was a joke.
Chumps.
Like an absolute joke. Like they were back at the grid, hoping to get 15th.
2023 testing. Everyone remembers 2023 testing. Yeah. McLaren was the worst team on the grid.
So
they were the worst
to
team
go
on the
from
grid.
that to where they are now is just absolutely mega impressive. Mega impressive. The turnaround's just ginormous.
So, sir, of course, everyone out there, in the paddock USA at gmail.com, in the paddock USA, I still have this amazing memorabilia that I'd love to give away, but I need at least a good number of people in this raffle here. I can't have 20 people in the raffle for all this. You got to email in the paddock USA, subject raffle 24, raffle 24. Put it in the subject. We'll put you in the drawing. We'll announce some point in the next few weeks what we're going to be giving away here. But it's going to be great. All you have to do is send an email. It's zero. It's nothing. There's nothing to cost nothing to listen to the show. Cost nothing to win stuff on the show. All you do is send an email. So hit us up. Email's a thing that you go on the computer. You might have to have an account yourself. You definitely have to have an account yourself and send it to us. I know most people just communicate between social media now, but since I'm a dinosaur, that's how to do it. So in the paddock USA at gmail.com, shoot us an email, and you might win a prize. And we'll ship it anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world.
With a postal address.
Well, yeah.
Of some sort. I'll get it to you.
As long as UPS can get there, it's a coming.
I can get it there. I heard FedEx goes to Antarctica now, so
How about that?
How about that? No, I don't know. I just made that up.
All right. Are you a politician?
Sometimes. Only when I'm lying. All right, in the paddock F1. Of course. Of course. And I was laughing before because I needed to find some intense music to play, potentially. I didn't record anything yet, as I normally do. But I need to record some intense music to play. And that's a good thing to do as we have some downtime here over the next month. And because if I have the outside chance of getting the first two questions right in Quizmaster's cockpit, as I'm hurling myself with two purple sectors down to the finish line, there should be some intense music. So,
I damn right there should be.
So, with that, I got something queued up, but we're far from there right now. We're far from it. Very far.
It's in the works.
Because I still have to get two right before I even get to the music.
Yeah, that is correct.
Which is the name of the track I chose under the intense music file here. It's called 2 Steps from Hell. So, that's what I was chuckling about before. I don't even know what it sounds like. But I guess we'll find out.
He hasn't even listened to it yet. Fantastic.
No, I be honest, I may never.
You might not want to with the name of that track.
All
right, well, you know what that means. It's time for the Quizmaster's cockpit. Are you ready, sir?
I
helmet on?
am.
Are you strapped in?
I'm strapped in, helmet's on, ready to go. Let's put our foot pedal to the metal and see if we can not kiss the wall. Everyone's kissed the wall at Singapore. Hopefully my wall kiss will be a little less intense.
You want a Lando wall kiss?
Not a K-Mag.
Not a K-Mag.
No.
You want a Lando wall kiss. All right, here we go. Question number 1, sir. FP3, or Free Practice 3, was red flagged. For what reason?
Oh, you're killing me.
Come on, it was news.
You're killing me. You're killing me. It was a way old weekend.
It's not the first time it's happened at Singapore either.
Well, somebody crashed. Oh, I saw it too. Son of a gun. Oh my God! Of course I know it. Right, Carlos Sainz. No, that was Quali.
That was Quali. That was not Free Practice 3.
That happened in Free Practice 3. Don't give me current events.
You give up?
I give up. Who crashed?
There was no crash. There was a monitor lizard running down the track
again. I saw it. I didn't watch any of the free practice. I didn't get home till late last night. Had to catch up on quali. I wasn't able to watch any free practice. I did a poor job. It's a poor job by me.
I mean, there was a ton of articles. You Googled F1. That popped up.
I didn't realize that was specifically FP3. I saw it just like every year.
Yeah, it was FP3 this year.
So we'll just cancel that music and continue.
Off to a flying start as per the usual. Last week, it was a mirage. Or 2 weeks ago.
Could be so specific.
Question number 2.
All right.
Who has the most wins at Singapore and how many?
Says it Seb? Seb have 5?
That is correct.
I knew that, right? Boom.
Question number 3. When was the last time a McLaren won at Singapore?
Gotta be first Singapore was what, 07 or 08? 08. So had to be around then. 2010.
That's your answer?
I don't know. What am I forgetting? What McLaren drivers won here?
Five seconds. Time's up.
What McLaren drivers won here?
2009, Lewis Hamilton.
That's right.
So that's incorrect, sir. So that makes you a loser. Well, you were a loser after the first question, so. And that's why I put my losers to start off our next segment here. We're going to start out with Alex Albon. Overheated, out of the race, early. Colapinto's coming, driving extremely well. Making Albon not look so good. So it's definitely a big loser weekend for him.
Yeah, I mean, it made him look bad, but come on. You know.
That's still loser. I'm going to say Red Bull. Red Bull losing ground to McLaren again. Perez just clunking it again. Yeah, he got up into the points, but another horrid qualifying. It seems like, last couple races were the old mirage. Back to Sergio. It's normalcy. And McLaren is running full bore, and Red Bull is a struggling machine right now. I mean, Max did throw in a solid weekend, but you need both guys in there, and it's not going to happen. Just not going to happen. Just not going to happen. But Red Bull I might even say at this point that Red Bull could finish third in the constructors right now. Because you're going to need both guys to be scoring decent amount of points right now. And that doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I might disagree. Ferrari and Red Bull look like they've drawn even. There's 3-point difference today between them. But McLaren and Red Bull, 21-point difference between McLaren and Red Bull today. That's huge, man.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And I don't see that changing anytime soon. But we'll see. Like I said earlier, Red Bull can come back.
You never know, but Red Bull's got one driver, really.
There will be books written about this collapse,
one guy that has zero
man.
confidence.
There'll be books written about this collapse. There'll be books written about this collapse.
Yeah.
I mean, really,
Yeah.
it's becoming epic.
Yeah.
Where this team was like, it was a joke in April. Like F1 was right until Miami. It was like another season where it's just done. The only thing was McLaren was in the Ferrari was in the mix as far as constructors were concerned because Sergio was so bad. But then Max just followed suit and epic. I can't remember.
The car upgrades haven't worked out like they thought. People leaving the team left and right. I mean, the design guru of F1 leaving. A lot of people are leaving or have left the team. So something stinky over there. Something went rotten bad, fast.
No, absolutely. Real fast. And if you guys check it out, of course, all of our other shows are available wherever you get your podcasts. We're on like 80 different podcast platforms, so go check it out. Go check out the old episodes and maybe dig in, all the Red Bull specials we did back in March, April, and May over this stuff. Because we did. All the way back in January, we were doing Red Bull specials about this exodus and how it was going to affect it. I'm going to spend the next couple days listening to it myself because I'm interested in listening to it because something was going on, and whatever was going on starting in January just trickled through and it snowballed. And it was this little snowball, this little tiny snowball that started in January in our Something Smells Rotten at Red Bull saga, several episodes we did over the course of time, and it snowballed. And at first it was a joke. Because whatever, Red Bull's going to win anyway. They're going to win by a ridiculous amount. The only thing we're rooting for is the ridiculousness of the fact that Sergio Perez was going to finish like 7th or 8th, and Max was going to finish 1st. Is probably the widest gap I've ever even can remember as far as historically from, teammates in a season. So that was the only thing I was rooting for. I think it was the only thing we were rooting for. And then this insanity. But anyway, I know we're just some losers. I'm gonna jump in with my losers if you don't mind.
Shoot.
I mean, it's just a theme now, man. It's a theme with Alpine. Speaking of collapses, what the hell's going on with them, man? They got into a groove. They were in a groove for a while, and I was not expecting this at all from Alpine. Way more competitive, and it's just bad. Gasly was bad all weekend. All weekend long. And Ocon the same thing. I mean, he was a little bit better, but wow, just bad driving, bad front office, bad just everywhere is bad for Alpine right now.
A mess.
And my God, if anybody really cared about the back end of the grid, this would be a bigger story. And of course, everybody kisses the wall at Singapore, but K-Mag was the only one that crashed out on it. So you got to give him a loser, man. Kissed it a little too much, but you know what, K-Mag, he was not good all weekend. Clearly, Nico is when when your teammate quali 6th and you quali 14th, man. This is not good. Barely made it out of Q1. Not good. Not good for K-Mag, and he's just a loser. And those are my losers.
So it'll take us to winners then, sir. Charles Leclerc.
Absolutely.
Brilliant drive. Recovering the just whatever the heck happened there in quali, that just mess. With the tires not getting in the right window or whatever, but 9th, 5th place finish. That first stint, just hanging it out there, then pushing at the end once he finally got a little clean air, and then he was just moving there at the end with the later pit stop and having that less laps on his tires. He was just cooking there at the end of the race. So 5th place, it's great recovery, along with Carlos Sainz finishing 7th. That's a really solid points recovery for Ferrari, to be honest, because that could have been they could have had a horrid weekend with that Q3 disaster. Talked about a little early in the little early in the show, but Colapinto again. I mean, Sauber should sign this dude up. Let's be real. You listen to his press conferences and what he says. This guy's on it. He should have a seat for next year. Let's get some more youngins in there. But he's just showing 11th place, a little bit more conditioning. He probably maybe even gets in the top 10. Another great drive for the youngster. Those be my winners.
Colapinto, man, just really embarrassing for Logan Sargent.
Sargent,
really embarrassing.
Yeah.
I got to give it up to Mercedes, man. Lewis Hamilton, even though he came in sixth, I got to give it up to George Russell fourth. 4 and 6 for this team is, I think, damn good.
From where they were Friday, absolutely. Lewis was feeling it in quality for sure. I know he finished third. Definitely didn't carry over as much into Sunday. It's tougher when you're older, and so I got to give it up to both Lewis and Russell. And I didn't even mention his teammate because it disgusts me. But Fernando Alonso, as tough as it is to drive in Singapore, it's even tougher when you're older, man. To lose that much weight, as you mentioned, 7, 8, 9 pounds. Some of these guys are losing. Yeah. Some losing even 10 pounds of water weight. Fernando Alonso, it's tough, man. That is no joke to be the oldest guy on the grid and to put up laps like he was putting up all day today. Got to give it up to Fernando. And, I mean, not to segue, but his teammates just slapped the shit out of himself. But that's a whole other episode for a whole other time. This is bad, but I'm not even going to get into that. Thing is, he didn't make losers. He was just, so pathetic. I had him on there. I didn't say anything because you wanted your little rant there. I was going to throw him in there at the end. But... No, we're not. We're not. No. No. There's no slap this week.
No slap.
No slap this week.
No slap.
No, we're gonna do something we've never done.
Oh.
It's a celebration. Celebration.
Thank you, Rick James.
And we're going to celebrate Danny Ricciardo.
Ooh. All right, that's a no-brainer.
Was, by the way, voted driver of the day as well by the F1 fans. So how about that?
Saw
F1 fans know.
I saw that.
F1 fans know.
And for being dead last...
The writing is on the wall that he's going to be losing his seat to Liam Lawson for the rest of the season. VCAB gave him a honor guard walking out from the hub this morning or before the race. So writing's on the wall, and the sport's going to miss Danny Ricciardo. That's for sure. Was a great driver, one of the best at the late breaker. Probably one of the best late breakers on the grid, to be honest. Just brilliant passes, probably in the wrong spot at the wrong time in his career. Being at Red Bull with Seb when he was winning the titles at the start there, and then Max comes in, and then running into the years with Mercedes, just dominating everything for so long. But definitely a great driver in the sport. Did a lot for the sport. Popular driver as well. Fans love him. So he's definitely going to be massively missed on the grid. If it is true. Hasn't been coming out that it is fact. But let's be real. The writing's out there and the ball's there that this is probably his last race. I mean, you can see in his post-race press conference almost crying. Took, a minute and a half just sitting in his car after the race, just soaking it in. Like, soaking into last year we're going to be in the cockpit. So, round of applause for Danny Ricciardo.
Yeah, absolutely. Big applause. Big ups for Danny.
We are fans of Danny Ricciardo here on the program as well. So
absolutely, and
I'm definitely a little saddened.
Yes, and he's a fan of our good friend Benny Horowitz from the Gaslight.
Yes, he is.
So, all very, very small world. I remember Ben calling me from Australia back in the day. And be like, I just met this guy, Daniel. He had no idea. He doesn't know anything about Formula One. Had no idea. And I was like, get the F out of here. I think I was with you when he called me, too. But, Danny Rick, small world, man. And very, very cool. Very good stuff. And amazing. I got a clip right here. Sorry. You might not. You're not going to see him in Austin, but you could hear that emotion, man. You could feel that emotion.
Yeah,
you could feel that coming right through the audio there, and I got goosebumps just from playing that, and I've heard that like 7 times already, and just one of the classiest guys.
Will Buxton on the post race was about to break down in tears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for him to win driving
even Hinchcliffe. I mean, he's a very popular guy in the paddock. Everybody likes him. It's that big smile.
I know what else.
Smile. I know what else is big. From sadness to happy time. Because you know what that sound means. Sound for the best damn time of the week. And it's time to take that fantasy ride to that fantasy island of Greetopia, where the beer flows like wine and the wine flows like beer. And the cannabis, oh yes, it grows as far as the eye. Look at it out there. Green and luscious. Take a little whiff. I mean, I need a little more after that whole Danny Ricciardo stuff. You know what? That air smells fantastic. Taking a little walk to the top of the hill like Casino Top. Are we cashing in or are we checking out?
Almost had to play through twice. It was a pretty even week, but I think we did have a little bit of pulse up here. I think you dropped a little bit, and I gained a little bit, but not enough to get me back on track. But it's like it's not a McLaren Red Bull kind of race right now. It's like you're in the McLaren. I'm not quite in the Haas. I'm Aston Martin. Maybe right now? Is that fair?
That's fair.
Maybe Mercedes. Clearly not top 3.
Fair.
If we had more people playing in this, I'd be way in the back because I am negative. I've been negative for a while. You're positive. You've been positive for a while. But if we did get a little bit closer, let's recap the bets we made. I believe we both had a double podium McLaren, so both cha-ching, $120 each. Obviously, it doesn't help us out as far, but it helps our confidence out a little bit. We both thought Colapinto would make top 10, came in 11th, and I think he was that upset because he knew both of us had put money on him. I beat you.
Yeah, I doubt that seriously.
Very
okay.
concerning.
Go on.
Very concerning. So that's where he stood on that one. He was very upset at the end, not get points. We were very upset because he didn't get points because I put money on that shit. So
damn right.
And I think we both felt that Lewis Hamilton really feeling the car this week, and we both had him coming in second in the trifecta with Norris, Hamilton, Piastri. We got the Norris, we got the Piastri, but the Max Verstappen fills that number 2 role. Max did not seem confident at all after quali. I listened to Max's interview after quali, and that's why I didn't put Max, up there in the top 3, because he was surprised he came in second. And Lewis was like over the moon confident. I haven't seen Lewis that confident in a while. Maybe they were just delirious from the.
I think it was because Lewis has struggled with quali all year, so putting in a good quali was definitely just boosted the confidence, which absolutely can do to a driver. You have a really good quali when you don't. You listen to him on Friday, it was like this thing's a mess, and then you go to Saturday, made a whole slew of changes, and put it P3 and definitely boost your confidence for the going into the race. So it happens.
Right on for sure. So puts us at and I also had George Russell coming in 4th, and he did come in 4th. So I chinged on that one. You did not have that or anything else. So you lost 100 greenie bucks.
I only went with with 3 because the board was awful this week.
Awful. It was back to like the early of the season. We were bitching and moaning when you can't put like 12 drivers in negative returns in the top 10 or 8 in the top 6. It's just like throw a pair, Vegas. Come on. Killing me. I still beat the odds. I beat the odds. You did not. So, scared of the F1 gamblers? Come on. Give us a little bit. Give us a little bit. Negative
Throw a pair.
At the top.
Grow a pair.
They don't need to. They got intimidation. All right, sir.
That only leaves one thing. It's time for In the News.
What the hell's in the news this week?
There's a bunch of stuff,
tick, by the way.
There's a bunch of stuff in the news here. James Vowles has come out and said that they're trying to get Colapinto to get the second Sauber seat to 25. What's your thoughts on that? I gave you my thoughts a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I think Colapinto.
Sign that man.
He's got the fire, man. We just mentioned it before. I mentioned it again. He's got the fire. Someone's got to sign him up. Any of the back 5 teams should be looking at him right now to sign him up. Man, you can't buy that. You can't buy passion like that. And that's it. And and the fact that he's good too. He's he's good. So
there's also that.
Getting out of Q3 every single time he's been there, or I'm sorry, getting out of Q1. Putting himself in.
Logan Sargent wasn't doing that.
No, Logan Sargent was not doing that. Where did he start in Baku? Colapinto started
in
8th. Yes, he was in Q3. Yeah. Q2, I mean, really, really impressive. I mean, Williams has definitely had a better upswing since the break, but he's taken full advantage, and damn, they've done really, really well. So, sign that man up. I'll take him over
story
Ocon.
number 2.
I'll definitely take him over Ocon and Haas. Right now.
I would.
Right now.
I would. I didn't like the Ocon signing, to be honest with you. I would have signed Danny Rick over Ocon, to be honest. Moving on next. Max Verstappen dropped the F-bomb during Thursday's news conference. The FIA then gave him community service. Oh, but it continues. Then after qualifying, the press conference, Max Verstappen gave one-word answers. And another journalist asked a question, and he said, "Ask me after." And then he held his own news conference on his way to the TV pen. What's your thoughts on that?
You smart? You savvy? You're going to call him out? You're going to put him in a position to potentially fine him? or discipline him because of his actions.
Community service, whatever that's going to be for Formula One.
Whatever that. He's not picking up garbage on the side of the track. He'll go visit a children's hospital or something like that, which is important and stuff he does anyway, but he'll do it on behalf of Formula One instead of himself or Red Bull. So, something like that. Stuff he does anyway. He'll just do it under the umbrella of Formula One. So, whatever. But the point being is you can't say whatever you want. This is not, you don't run the FIA, you don't run Formula One. You got to follow the rules, whether you like them or not, whether you want to drop F-bombs or not, or say what you want to say, or have restrictions on yourself.
Not during a press conference. That's just not the place.
So it happens. It happens with athletes all the time. Not okay. And you got to understand that you have an audience and you need to make sure that the people who are paying you might be rich, right? The people that are paying you, they're wealthy. You ain't wealthy. You ain't wealthy like that. So it's a privilege to drive for F1. I understand Max has definitely been full of himself since he entered the sport in 2015. He's been incredibly confident. Overconfident, and it spills over sometimes. And you saw it there, and just shut your mouth and say something good.
A little bit of frustration going on there, too.
Obviously.
We will leave the McLaren story with the wing for an off episode, since we have like a month to the next race.
Oh, we're definitely doing a couple of...
a final news story of the program today. Found this one, which was a little fancy information here. Reports coming out of Mexico and a F1 journalist from Austria are saying that Sergio Perez is considering leaving struggling Red Bull on his own terms after the 2024 season. Possibly due to family. Apparently, him and his wife are possibly expecting their fourth child. Is on the way here. So, but apparently, he is considering leaving the team after the season. What's your thoughts on that?
If you were racing in anything besides Red Bull, you wouldn't be driving. If you were racing a Williams, if you were in a back-end car for sure.
He might actually be better back there because the pressure wouldn't be so bad.
You would, if you have a parallel here, right, between the driving capabilities he is in Red Bull, and it's all even, he'd be dead last every race. He'd be dead last if he wasn't driving a McLaren, Ferrari, or Red Bull. I'd even say if he was driving a Mercedes, he'd be dead last.
Ouch.
Yeah. You're barely scoring points. He's been better recently. Especially relative to Max. You want to call Max like one of the greatest drivers of this generation. He's definitely a potential, for sure, Hall of Famer, if there even is such a thing. And, I think that he'd be really, really bad. It would be much worse, especially the last year or so. So I don't mean to shit on him. He's been driving in this sport for a long time now. But he's clearly lost a step. And however you want to go out with dignity, and Formula One will let you do that. The problem is if he comes back next year and Red Bull is clearly like a third or maybe fourth best team, potentially, he's going to be real bad. And he's not going to score any points, or barely any, and it's going to be embarrassing for him. So bow out. There's nothing wrong with putting together a 14, 15-year Formula One career. There's no issue with his career. I don't know how many race wins he has, but it's a lot. It's definitely got a lot of race wins. Bow out gracefully. Instead of putting yourself in a position to keep pushing, because next year, without Red Bull being a top 2 team potentially, it could be really embarrassing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Facts.
That's what
that'll be in the news.
Sir, I know we mentioned it several times in the program, but one more time, where are we going next?
Austin. Like a month's time.
Texas,
like
baby.
October like
Everything's
20th or
big
something?
in Texas. Everything's big in Texas. I think it's October 20th. I think you're right. Which
like
I'll actually be in Canada the week before that. So I'll be coming back from Canada the day before. So it'll be interesting. As the first time Formula One's back second time this year they're back in the U.S. We were in Miami. It's crazy to still think that we have three Formula One races. All right, say what you got to say, brother.
As always, stay medicated, my friends.
Peace.